From its origins as a standard racing film to the franchise evolving into so much more, we're now looking at the Fast and Furious trailer for its 10th installment to find some hidden details. And boy, are you in for some big surprises. You must be wondering what Rita Moreno was doing in the trailer, but it's no surprise because Vin Diesel had already announced this a year ago. In fact, he went a step ahead to reveal that she'd be joining the cast as a member of the Toretto family. So much for leaving the fans guessing. But of course, the new trailer featuring the Oscar winner may still have come as a surprise to some viewers who hadn't known this.
Signature of the gun. And the algorithm I've run says Jacob's team is right on top of us.
Wouldn't that disrupt all electronic signals?
Including security systems. That's it.
In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Diesel talked about how fatherhood has been a central theme throughout the franchise. In the first film, Dom talks about his own father, Jack, starting off the franchise with that exact theme. And in the 9th installment of the series, the character of Jack is finally introduced. This made it a natural decision to include the character of Abuela, or grandmother, as a part of the family. Diesel believed it was important for the audience to see the influential women who have been responsible for shaping the Toretto family and its values. But let's talk about some of the characters that could possibly play a pivotal role in the new film, like Dom's son, for example. It's been quite some time since the last installment of the franchise, and a lot has changed for the characters in the interim. Little Brian, played by Leo Abello Perry, was just 4 years old in F9, but in the upcoming movie Fast X, he's 8 years old and growing up fast. This also means that it's been 4 years since the events of the last film. Dom, played by Vin Diesel, is now taking the role of a teacher as he instructs his son on the basics of driving a car. He may not yet be old enough to have a license or actually drive it, but it's important when you're the son of Dominic Toretto. And never forget who the kid's named after. Well, the kid himself may never have an emotional connection with Brian O'Connor, but we all know what he meant to the franchise. It's sad that Paul Walker had to pass on as he did, but Diesel never forgot about him. And once again, it's visible in the new trailer. At the beginning of the trailer, you can catch a glimpse of the 3 distinct pictures in Dom's garage. The initial one showcases Jesse and Brian from the original movie, but the picture holds significance for a couple of other reasons as well. Over the years, Brian possessed multiple WRX vehicles, but this was his original one. The image that we saw was a screen grab from the 2009 Fast and Furious, being presented as a memory. The movie was also responsible for rebooting the franchise, even though it failed to make a name for itself. After the WRX assisted Brian in escaping Mexico, it clearly left a lasting impression on him, since he employed another one as a jump car in Furious 7.
This is Cypher, the woman who killed the mother of your child.
The shot also features a bunch of other pictures as well, though. Toward the right, there is a photograph of Dom and Letty. Additionally, a poignant snapshot of Brian and Dom seated with their cars occupies the top right corner. Another thing that may not be as obvious as you might think is how the villain is the exact opposite of Dom. No, really, if you rewatch the trailer, you can notice how Dante, the villain, is actually trying to mock Dom in every way possible, starting with how their hair looks. Of course, we know that Dom rocks a clean-shaven head, while on the other hand, Dante wears long hair. Even their clothing styles are completely opposite. Where Dante is big on shiny, bright colors, and even likes to wear nail paint to complement his attire, Dom, on the other hand, is still in his iconic black and white shirts. Dante has even tried to mock Dom by having a car that's almost the same as Dom, but not really. And this is all true given how Louis Leterrier, in an interview, acknowledged how Dante has studied Dom for years to be able to do this. Seems very petty, I must say, but could it be more than just petty choices for mockery?
Except you actually need phones in order to get phone calls.
Well, a bit of misunderstanding in the mix, because you may have noticed how Dante is out to seek vengeance. He thinks that Dom and Brian are responsible for the death of his father, Reyes. Does the name sound familiar? Well, that's because it is. Reyes was a corrupt businessman and crime boss hailing from Rio de Janeiro. And not just that, he also served as the main villain in the 2011 film Fast 5. How hell-bent he is to teach Dom a lesson about his father's death can be seen when he kidnaps Dom's son, little Brian. But Dante seems to be missing out on the real story here. Dom and Brian never killed Reyes. It was actually Luke Hobbs that did that. Now, I know The Rock already refused to return for the 10th film, but could we be looking at a special appearance? I sure would hope to see that. Now back to some smaller deets, like how at one point you can see Dom's Charger doing donuts. Does that jog your memory a bit? No? Well, let me help you out. Remember how poor Jesse is killed by Johnny Tran and Lance in the first film? Dom and Brian then go out to hunt the two, and while doing so, Dom arrives on the scene with a movie that was exactly this, and with it he pushes Lance and his car off the road. It's a nice little Easter egg if you can recall what it stands for. And how can we forget about Rio, the place where Fast 5 and so much in the movie happened? Guess we're going back there once again, as the trailer shows us shots of the city, especially the statue of Christ the Redeemer. If you can remember, it was also the time of that infamous heist sequence. So of course, there's a shot of that as well. Yes, it's actually the same shot from the original Fast 5 film, and the director has already told why that is. Because the film is going to have tons of flashback sequences.
The border to get away from the law, how Tokyo was his Mexico.
Maybe one day we'll find out.
Oh, you better hope that day never comes.
Man, I hope the flashbacks don't get boring at least. But hey, Leterrier also explained that the car chase with the safe is one of the franchise's most iconic scenes, so they wanted to re-implement it into the new story. Maybe we'd get to see it through the eyes of Reyes, instead of how we originally saw it with Brian and Dom at the center of it. Could be an interesting point of view. One of my favorite details, though, is the return of John Cena as Jacob. Previously, Jacob was portrayed as a bitter rival of Dom and his crew, but now he appears to have joined forces with them. A shot later in the trailer shows his vehicle in action, although its exact purpose is still a mystery to me. But while the car is cruising on the highway, you can see the Dad Remembrance Charger right next to it, indicating that the Toretto brothers are collaborating. The addition of the Dad Remembrance Charger also brings in a layer of emotion, as it'll serve as a tribute to Dom and Jacob's late father.
Head of state. It makes me a foreign dignitary. And this place, an embassy. Which means you just trespassed into my country and attempted murder.
And there you have it, some of the most interesting details and Easter eggs in the trailer that you might have missed.